It's just gone 8 o'clock. It's a Thursday morning. Peter Swampy Marsh from Quest Newspapers is in the studio. It means one thing. It is Sports Fever time. Good morning to you, Swampy.
Good morning to you, Matty, and good to see you. You're feeling well this morning. Your listeners may have heard you were carrying a bit of an injury last week.
Went into the little bit like Jonathan Thurston. Went into last week's show carrying an injury, but we got through it okay. We got the win last week, so I'm back better than ever and raring to go.
And back in the selection frame as well, doing very well. Speaking of Origin, team announced on Tuesday, and what do you make of the side Queensland's put up?
Look, I thought it was fairly obvious, and I thought most people realised after that first game we went in with too many back rowers, and I was expecting Hannett to come in, Kennedy to come in, and we've brought in. We haven't got any more front rowers. We dropped one. I don't quite get it.
That was probably the big surprise for me. I personally didn't see a place for Teo, Gillette and McQueen in the side. Yep. I especially didn't see a spot for McQueen in the starting side, which was very interesting. I think, and for those who saw the game on Monday night, Gillette had an absolute... Gillette. Now, we need to train. Had an absolute blinder for the Broncos on Monday night. One of the best games he's played for them all season, and I thought he would have just about played himself into that starting side, but... interesting times. I love the inclusion of Papali and Cherry Evans, but not quite sure on those three back rowers still.
Yeah, a lot of people question Cherry Evans a half on the bench. I think the intensity of Origin, look, being a half is such a specialist position. I don't mind carrying a half as a backup plan. If he doesn't get on the field, so be it. But you've got two halves. They're such important positions. I'm more than happy to carry a half on the bench.
And we saw the wonderful role that Cooper Cronk played for so many years behind Darren Lockyer and Jonathan Thurston on that bench. And I don't think anyone really questioned him sitting on that bench. So I think once Cherry Evans comes in, he'll play that similar kind of role that Cronk did. And really, it's a wonderful, or sort of, I suppose, first steps in the Origin arena, and I think he'll do really, really well next Wednesday.
I couldn't believe Shillington got dropped. He wasn't impressive in game one, I know that, but we needed more props, not less. I would have had Shillington still there. I would have found a place for Hannett, and I would have even found a place for Martin Kennedy, and maybe nothing against the back rows. They all went well, but they're all too similar. And we've seen New South Wales for many years went with a similar strategy. And we had the big boppers in Matty Scott and Stephen Price, and then and Petro, of course. You know, laughed at saying they'd be too slow, but year after year they just gave us that momentum.
It was put a huge amount of focus and work now on Matt Scott and Sam Thaiday. They're really going to have to turn up as the big boppers.
And Nate Miles.
And Nate Miles. And Miles was good, but I thought Matt Scott was well below his best in game one, so it's really put a lot of focus on him.
Yeah. Plenty to come on the show today, Swamp. We better get into it. We've got Rupert McCall coming up. We've also got Jacinta Massa, who's been in fantastic form for the Firebirds. We'll also talk to Mike Whiting. He'll cover off. He's normally our AFL man, but the basketball's going to Game 7. He loves his basketball. He doesn't support either the Heat or the Spurs or the Lakers, for that matter. So he's a bit of an independent view rather than the rubbish you'll go on with. So we'll better get into the show. And I thought maybe, we're looking for this theme song. What about a bit of... My Emmy Vice is out. It's 7 minutes past 8 here on Sports Fever. It's time now to talk to a good friend of the show. He's been driving. He's pulled over the side of the road to talk to us. That's how dedicated he is to Sports Fever. It's a big good morning to Rupert McCall.
Morning, Matt. How are you this morning?
Mate, I'm very well, and we've got Swampy here as well, and we're looking forward to a big Sunday at Dulford Oval, mate, where we take on, I guess we could say, a real arch nemesis of the Dolphins. We don't have a great record against them, the Northern Pride.
That's right. I suppose we could throw plenty of cliches around about this match. Season defining, possibly a potential turning point for the Dolphins. I mean, we need to grasp at something that is going to propel us towards a more successful run into September. And you know what, we've been looking for a phase of football from the Dolphins that might give us a glimpse of hope. And I wonder, did that happen on Sunday at the Sunshine Coast in the second half? It was a pretty ordinary first half from the Dolphins, but then they clicked into stride in the second half and put on plenty of points. Whether it is or it was or not, will be determined this Sunday because, as you know, boys, the Sunshine Coast are more south on the ladder than north. So going from one of the bottom sides to playing the top side, it's going to really be an interesting match on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it probably wasn't the best guide of where we were at by dusting up the Sunny Coast. And as you mentioned, a very slow start. They skipped out to a half-time lead. But the Dolphins, I guess it was the Dolphins of old, attacking-wise, we've seen in the second half with some brilliant tries. But as you said, Northern Pride are very much a different kettle of fish. They're the competition leaders. They've been impressive all year. But we can only play what's in front of us, and maybe that was just the confidence booster we needed last week.
I hope so. I'll tell you one thing, boys. The week before against Mackay, we played a pretty handy first half and then got run down in the second half. And last weekend, we came out of the blocks pretty slow and then decided to play football after oranges. This week against Northern Pride, I promise you we'll have to play two halves of football to win the game because they are a good side. They gave us a good dusting up at Barlow Park in the first round a month and a half ago or so, and they did the same to a pretty handy Jet side on the weekend. So, it's all there for the Dolphins to do. It's a home game. It's the top of the table. The Records are paying $12 with Sporting Bet. The Northern Pride at $2.50. That might give an indication as to the underdog status of the Dolphins, but it's not to say that we can't win the game.
Swampy here, Rupert. Maddie and I spoke 2 weeks ago, really, that these two games are almost a bit of a defining point this season for the Finns. The win against the Sunshine Coast almost had to be a big one, and it had to come, and it needs to be followed up by a Pride to really jumpstart a bit of life into this Dolphins season. It's by no means gone yet, but the Finns are fast running out of rounds that they can drop and matches that they can lose before things start to get pretty serious for those finals calculations. Bit of a season-defining moment coming up for them on Sunday.
True story, Swampy. Yes, mate, you've got that right. This is a big game on Sunday. Are we hanging by a thread? Just about. But, that sort of football, that confidence, the points that we scored on Sunday afternoon in the second half, and there can be no gap between that and the opening whistle on Sunday afternoon. That has to flow into this weekend's challenge. And it's a great challenge. I mean, that's why you lace on a football boot at the start of the season. It's why you do the hard yards of pre-season, the good old blood, sweat and tears that says, well, are we a premiership contender? At the start of the season, everybody's saying, yes, the Dolphins are. Look at that side on paper. But as I said in the context of State of Origin, although the Blues on paper are often more the slicker, the strongest piece of paper couldn't beat an honest ticker. It doesn't matter names on a page. It's how you turn up to play on any given Sunday. And on this particular Sunday, the Dolphins will have to put on the red and white, have a little chat with Des Webb on the way out through that tunnel, and then when that opening whistle blows, it's full throttle.
And away we go. And the interesting name back in the side, we've seen him back last week. He's been named again this week. He's the big, tall, lanky centre that spent some time playing in France earlier this year. He's back. It's the Marty Hatfield, and he'll prove a handful out wide for the Northern Pride all day.
Yeah, he's a very handy centre, Marty. And, when I think the Dolphins lost him to a dislocated elbow last year, and we missed him when he was out, and he came back and made a difference. Let's hope that can be a similar story on Sunday afternoon. Every man in red and white will have to do their job, and I'm quietly confident that Marty Hatfield will make a significant and positive difference.
Rupert, just a little bit of news outside of the regular season at the moment. Great news to see that the Dolphins heading back to Kilcoy for the
Roma this year.
Roma this year for the country round. Great to see that concept keep on growing, because it's been a wonderful reception for the Finns at Kilcoy for the last 2 years.
It is, boys. It's I'm sort of buried in the grassroots of Queensland country as we speak. I did a gig in Gundawindi last night at the Royal Hotel for the McIntyre Writers Festival, and I'm heading back to Brisbane now for a British and Irish Lions gig, so no rest for the wicked, but it is. I mean, this is rugby league heartland. You drive into a place like Gundawindi, Kilcoy or Roma, and you see the 4 X's, and you know that, rugby league lives and breathes in backyards, in these sort of areas. You know, the kids that come out and dream of the day when they might be playing in Trust Super Cup, you know, possibly on the way to a Queensland jersey and State of Origin. All those dreams that, you know, that live in the eyes of residents and young people in areas like this. You know, for the Dolphins to be going to Roma, the home of, you know, Big Arthur Beetson and the Cherry Brothers and Richie Polson and others who've played for Redcliffe over the years. It's a wonderful thing and very inspiring for the local community.
Yeah, so many great names. The Dolphins have such a great affiliation with that Roma. And you mentioned Big Artie, Ray Higgs, Charlie Mans, the great Gator, Wally Fullerton Smith, of course, a Roma boy. And just down the road, of course, is Mitchell and who else? But the Mitchell assassin, Danny Burke, of course, from down the road as well. So some great names are from around that area.
Yeah, I reckon, you know, listen, I say this with respect, but mightn't be a bad thing for the silent assassin Sloaney to put together a highlight reel of Danny Burke's big hits from his career, the Mitchell assassin, just to maybe play the boys, you know, the forward pack, especially before Sunday afternoon's assignment, because I reckon that'd have the adrenaline pumping, the juices flowing, and the shoulders sharp, ready to inflict some pain.
Yeah, nothing would fire them up more. So we'll get Sloaney onto that. Before we let you go, Rupert, it is also a big congratulations. We haven't spoke to you, of course. It's a huge honour for yourself receiving a Medal of the Order of Australia. Big congratulations from Swampy and myself.
Thank you, boys. It was unexpected, but very humbling for a Redcliffe boy. I hope I can live up to it. It is an honour. I've had, you know, plenty of mates, you know, bringing me back down to earth, sledging with the calling me sir and bowing and all that sort of thing. But as I said, no boy from Redcliffe ever got called sir. I'll be happy to take it, but yeah, certainly appreciate the support of all listening on the Redcliffe Peninsula who've given my career a great boost over the years.
Yeah, it's a great honour and well-deserved, Rupert. And we thank you for joining us on the show this morning. We'll catch you out at a Dolphin Oval on Sunday. And anyone, it is a TV game. And so if you are heading out to the game, it is a 2 o'clock start. So hopefully no one gets caught out by that one.
Thanks, boys. I'll see you there with the sarsaparilla snow cone in hand.
Sounds like a plan.
Rupert.
Thanks, Rupert.
Cheers.
Cheers. Rupert, Medal of Order of Australia recipient Rupert McCall.
Now he's gone, we can call him Sir Rupert.
Sir Rupert.
Now he's off the line.
Yep.
I tell you what, Matty, I am really fired up about this game. There's all the things that make for a great sporting narrative in this game. The bogey team for the Finns, the season on the line. It's a real time to deliver, and if they do it, I think it'll be really something special if they can get up over the Pride at the weekend. I'm really looking forward to getting out there to Dolphin Oval.
Yeah, this is we spoke about. This is really season defining for the Finns. If they can knock over the Pride, and I think they've in the Pride's history, we've only beat them once. So
it's at top of the team. It's a bogey team for the Finns. There's so much that they can gain out of this, rather than just the 2 competition points, and that's what makes it so good.
And for my, it's there for the Dolphins. It's just not there for 80 minutes, and that's just been what lacking. And if it was anyone else but the Sunshine Coast, the hole probably would have been too deep last week as well. They just started slow, played a great second 40 and dug themselves out of trouble. But look, they're playing good enough football, but just not for that 80 minutes.
The one thing I think they could take out of that game against the Sunshine Coast is that when the foot was on the throat, they kept it there, and it was a blowout win, and they had to have that. If it was a 2012, a 22-12 win, I don't think there would have been a lot the Finns would have taken out of that. They should be beating teams like the Sunshine Coast and beating them like they did. So to see them really kick on that second half and put the Sunshine Coast to the sword, that's encouraging signs, and hopefully they can take a lot out of that and bring it in.
Yeah, confidence is a big thing, and I think that's what we've seen is lacking. And just sometimes when your confidence down, those amazing chip kicks that you see, and the balls stick when you're confident. When you're down on it a bit, the ball takes a left-hand turn and goes into touch. So when you're playing with confidence, the ball seems to bounce your way. So I'm really looking forward, and I'm really confident that the Dolphins can play a strong game. And Petro 77, what can we say about it? He has been enormous in every game he's played for the Finns, and I think they can declare the Peter Lease medal over now. He's home and hosed.
I didn't see the game last week against Sunshine Coast, but by all reports, it was one of his best of the season, which is a pretty high watermark when you're comparing Petro's best of the season. Apparently, it was just an absolutely enormous performance, and I'm sure Petra will be plenty fired up to take on the Pride this weekend.
Aaron Whitchurch also playing a little bit of front row on the weekend as well, and was impressive from all reports.
He's certainly got that frame to be able to handle that position, doesn't he? He's not your typical, I suppose, centre, certainly not the likes of the build of your Marty Hatfield. He's a very stocky young lad, Aaron Whitchurch, so just good to see him back and firing after that terrible operation he had to go through in the off-season. And by all reports, the Hat has got some long locks flowing.
Yeah, he's got the long locks.
Is it the Hat now?
Lahat.
Hardy
Hatfield.
We might have to get a good friend of the show, Andre Grimaud, back on to give us the correct pronunciation.
Yeah, we'll get him onto that. So that's Big Andre's job. So it's not, you've thrown me.
I did. Wow.
Where do I go from here? It's 19 minutes past 8. Time for a quick song. We'll be back to talk some netball. 21 minutes past 8 here on Sports Fever with Matthew and Swampy. Time now to talk some netball, Swampy, and who else to talk to then? Good friend of our show, Moreton Bay, superstar netballer. She's from the Firebirds. Good morning to Jacinta Messer.
Hi, how you going?
We're very good here this morning, Jacinta, and very excited about the Firebirds securing their finals berth in season 2013. Obviously, very exciting times for the Firebirds.
Yeah, it's getting a bit exciting, isn't it? We have secured our place in that final series, and now depending on what happens this weekend, we're really trying to get into that second position, so we'll have 2 bites at that cherry come finals time.
And of course it was in front of a capacity home crowd that you secured the finals berth, Jacinta. What was it like getting the home ground advantage, and especially getting a parochial home crowd cheering you through?
Yeah, look, I don't think you can really put a price on how helpful that crowd is when the going gets really tough. And you know, it was really tough on Sunday, and we were so grateful to have, a sellout crowd there, and they really got behind us and got us across the line.
And you'd have to be happy with your own form, Jacinta. You come off the bench in that second half, and everyone in the media has come out and give you big raps. Geitzi's give you the big rap for a couple of vital intercepts you've given in the game. You turn things on your head. You were the star.
Oh, look, I don't know about that. Sort of had a look at it and thought maybe I was just in the right place at the right time a couple of times. But, look, you come off the bench and, it's sometimes a really tricky thing to do. You do get to sit there and watch what's going on for a bit, but then you've got to try and fit in quite seamlessly. So, I was really happy with the performance, but you just go out there and do what you can for your team and try and get them across the line.
And is there any better feeling than beating New South Wales in whatever sport it is? Is there just that extra better, satisfaction in beating a New South Wales team?
Look, I've got to say, it is a pretty sweet feeling. And, we've got a lot of sort of almost New South Wales turncoats in our team, guys that have come up from New South Wales and pretty proud Queenslanders. So, look, beating the Swiss, there's not much better than that.
It's really good to see. That was, of course, the second win in a row for the Firebirds, Jacinta, after back-to-back losses for the first time in this season. Was it pleasing to, I suppose, get over that little sort of three-quarters of the way season speed bump and really hit some form running into the finals?
Yeah, look, I think after those 2 losses against the Vixens and the Magics, we sat down and had a pretty good hard look at ourselves and, really had a chat about that. And then found a little bit more self-belief, and I think that's really what's been getting us across the line those last couple of games, and hopefully will get us, a solid spot in the finals.
Now, just one more regular season game before the finals do kick off. You're headed over to Adelaide to take on the Thunderbirds, and of course the Thunderbirds, one of only 3 teams to defeat the Firebirds this season. A thrilling game, but unfortunately you guys were on the wrong end of a 1-point loss there back in round 6. All the girls pretty keen to get one back over the Thunderbirds here.
Yeah, definitely. It's never an easy task going down to Adelaide and playing against them at the stadium, and particularly when they've found some cracking form. They seem to be playing some really pretty netball at the moment. So, and then on top of that, they've got something like 6 out of their starting 7 all international players. So we'll be going down there and we'll definitely be looking to get their scalp in it. And that'll be such a big confidence boost, I think, for us. We are the underdog this weekend and we'll be looking to take it to them.
And take us through the final format. Should we get the victory over the Thunderbirds this week, how does the final system work?
Yeah, so if we win this weekend, we'll finish in second spot. We'll then go back down to Adelaide the following week to play them again, and then so 1 plays 2 and 3 will play 4. the loser of 1 and 2 will play the winner of 3 and 4, and then go into the finals that way. So it is sort of the longer format for the finals, but will be good for us if we can finish second.
Yeah, like you said, it does give you 2 bites at that cherry.
Yeah.
Well, we're all very excited here. We've followed the progress closely here on SportsFeva all year. We're wrapped with your form. We're wrapped with the whole Firebirds form. We'll be cheering loudly this weekend to get you home, locked into that second spot, and we might have a chat to you again before the first week of the finals.
Sounds good. It's all happening. So
Yes, it certainly
we're
is.
going to win this weekend.
Good on you, Jacinta. Best of luck.
Thanks for that. Bye, guys.
Cheers, Jacinta.
Jacinta Messer there. Morton Bay's own Jacinta Messer, Swampy.
And I think she pretty humble there. She had an absolutely key moment in that game at the weekend, and an absolute superstar.
Without a word of lie, turned things on its head. Some huge intercepts in context of the game, and just absolutely turned things around. Some brilliant defence, some great intercepts from Jacinta. She's in fantastic form, and look, she could play the whole game. She's in great form, but Rosalie Jenke just uses her as that impact player that that is. And I think Jacinta's a really smart netball player that she can, she's seen what's going on. She comes on in that after, they take it late in that second half and really turns things on its head. So she is certainly a superstar, and SportsFeva's own.
Absolutely. The bump at the start of the year is giving the Firebirds the
They're
go.
going all right. Look, Rupert's picked up an Order of Australia medal. Jacinta's on fire for the... What have you done?
Yeah, you got me.
Swamp.
You got me.
Something.
I turned 25 2 weeks
That's
ago.
something. Well done, Swamp. Congratulations. Quarter of a century to you, Swampy.
And of course, for those obviously who can't get to Adelaide this weekend, the game is on SBS2. So do tune in on free to air there. It's a free to air game this week. So wonderful opportunity for everyone to see Moreton Bay's own Jacinta Messer in action.
Yes, looking forward to that. Time now for a word from our sponsors. 28 minutes past 8 here on SportsFeva with Matthew and Swampy. Time now to look at the Sunshine Coast and Gympie Rugby League. Swamp, and games continued last weekend. A few upsets, a few beltings, and a few close games.
Yeah, big belting. And look, I think I want a T-shirt with in Bruff I Trust on it, because the Kiwana Dolphins just keep rolling on, Matty. They're just about unstoppable. And unfortunately, it was the Maroochydore Coolum Swans on the end of the Kiwana Dolphins' wrath this weekend. 56-0 drubbing of the Swans by the Dolphins. So they sit undefeated on top of the table there, Kiwana, and who can stop them? Who's going to beat them this season?
I don't know, Swamp. If injuries aside, Bruffy has just got them firing. Absolutely his best work since Family Feud. Bruffy, he's just got them all cylinders flying. They come out, and from the first whistle, they just play intense rugby league for 80 minutes, and they're hard to get past.
And calling back, I think you mentioned on the show a couple of times before when we were watching them play the Snakes in the finals last year. You happened to be caught just as the Dolphins were running out onto the field quite near to the sheds, and you said it was one of the most intense things you'd ever seen, those boys running out. Any
grade of rugby league, and I've seen State of Origin teams run out, I've seen NRL teams run out, I've seen Queensland Cup teams run out. The intensity and the passion when these Kiwana boys ran out, like I was scared they were going to run over me, Swamp. They had the music blasting, the door slammed open, and they ran out. They were hugging and cheering. They were pumped up. And it pumps. You couldn't help but feel pumped up. I wanted to run on, and then I seen Arthur Brown there, and I thought, no, I'll stay well away. He's a big lad, Arthur Brown. But they're playing super football, and have we got any news on, are they on some type of record for most consecutive wins?
Homework's still coming, sir. Sorry. Next week, sir. Well, the team that gets the chance to beat them this week, Matty, is the Nambour Crushers, and they've kept things rolling on very nicely since they had a bit of an upset win against the Snakes a fortnight ago. Not the best opposition in the Calandra Sharks, are doing it tough, but the Crushers beating the Sharks 40-18 at the weekend. So,
and of course their coach is former State of Origin and NRL player Dan Staines, and his young lads play for their team as well. So they're well coached as well, Nambour, and got some talented guys there.
Now this is for those who are following at home with the serious tipping competition that we do have here.
And a lot of people are. A lot of people are telling me on the street.
If you've got the big board up, pen at the ready.
Yep.
You did get me again, Matty. Again. So you've got 3 points in the overall tally on me now. And of course that game was the Gympie Devils defeating the Caboolture Snakes.
You just
always
can't catch Caboolture, Swamp.
I can't.
You can't read them.
I'll tell you what, if I say Caboolture's going to win, go away. If I start to doubt them, get on them.
Chuck Tomlinson must hate you.
I'll just
he does.
I'll just
He
keep
told
my mouth shut. Always a tough road trip there for the Snakies. They went down 32-24 to the Devils at Gympie, and the last game of the weekend, Bribie Island, proving far too strong for the Noosa Pirates at Bernie Foley Oval with 48-10 wins. So just bubbling along nicely there is Bribie Island, but probably the closest game of the whole weekend there, Matty, is Caboolture and Gympie, but unfortunately the Snakes just on the wrong side of it.
Yeah, Gympie always hard to beat. Always hard to beat. Looking forward to this week's games, and we're back at the Snake Pit on Saturday night. It's Caboolture Snakes take on the Caloundra Sharks. Under 18s at 3:15, reserve grade at 4:45, and A grade kicks off at 6:30 p.m. at the Snake Pit. Swampy, don't put the mock on them. Tip the Sharks.
Oh, I can't tip the Sharks here, Matty. This is Caboolture should have the stock on the paddock to get one over the Caloundra, who haven't won a game this season. To be honest, this should be one of these rounds where Caboolture can come out and blow a few cobwebs out and really put a score on the Sharks to give their season a bit of a life. They've had some tough draws the last couple of weeks with who they've been playing, but look, I think at the Snake Pit they've got to be able to come out and put a big score on the Caloundra.
And the danger, though, is if they do go in with that mentality, I'm sure Chook will have them. Look, let's do the little things right, and the points will come. If you go out thinking, look, we're going to rack up 50 against these blokes and start throwing the ball around, before you get that go forward, things will go pear-shaped very quickly. So fingers crossed for the Snakies, and I'll tip them as well.
Yep.
This next game is our other local team, the Bribie Island Seagulls, taking on the Maroochydore Swans up there at Stockland Stadium. This is a bit of I'd say the Bribie Island specials.
Yeah, absolutely. Maroochydore probably hurting a fair bit from their game against Kiwana last week, and Bribie playing some pretty good football, so definitely the Sea Eagles there.
And then we head to Nambour, and the Crushers take on the undefeated Rob Bruff coached Kiwana Dolphins.
If I was not going away from my declaration I made last week, I'd almost like Nambour here for a little bit of an upset. They've been playing some good football, but you just can't tip against the Dolphins at the moment. So
you're learning slowly, Swampy. You're learning slowly.
But it will be a really interesting game, and I think Nambour, we won't see 56-0 shellacking like we did last week.
No, I agree. This will be a close game, but Kiwana too strong in the end. We then turn our attentions to Sunday games, and at Porritt Park, the Noosa take on Gympie.
Look, Noosa's season has struggled, but the Devils are playing some good football at the moment, and to get one over the Snakes, I don't think you can tip against them, so the Gympie Devils for me.
And then we have a reserve grade game for anyone looking for some local rugby league on Sunday. The Bribie Island Warrigals take on the Maroochydore Swans in under 18s and reserve grade at 10-12 and 20:1. They're at Bernie Foley on Sunday. So if you're if you're on the island and looking for a footy fix on Sunday, head along and see your much-loved Warrigals do battle.
Get the Snakies at the Snake Pit on Saturday night. Head over for some fish and chips and some rugby league on Sunday on Bribie Island. Yep. Weekend plan.
There you go, by SportsFeva. We should get a commission out of this. Then 2013 Red Rooster Cup continues on Saturday with these. There's a triple header on, I think Biwa are playing that's a women's game, on Sunday. So we see Palm Wards and Beachmere at Biwa, and then Biwa take on Mary Valley. That's at 2 and 3:30 respectively, and then the ladies' game is Biwa versus South Logan at 5 p.m, which should be a crackerjack game as well. And then Coolum and Kiwana and Pomona and Koran do battle at 1:30 and 3 p.m. also. So that should be a crackerjack game as well.
Absolutely.
Love the Red Rooster Cup, so looking forward to that. Now, how am I going all together on the tips, mate?
I think we're all square for this round.
Yep.
But you've got me three points overall, which, to be honest, in a competition as tight as this, is a little ways to come back.
Long way. A long way.
Excuse me.
Particularly if you can't get Caboolture right, you're going to struggle.
No, they're my bogey team this year. I do think they'll do one over Caloundra, though.
No, they will win and win well. Get along and watch those under-18s. Star-studded team. That's 3:15. They are the Harlem Globetrotters of Sunshine Coast Gympie Rugby League.
Good call. Whistling as they go out.
Yeah. Oh, wouldn't it be great if you had that song? I'm going to try and organise that.
Sort that out.
I will. Leave it with me. When the sun comes up on a sleepy little town down around San Antone, Doobie Brothers, China Grove.
Well done.
How's this for a segue into, we're talking about one of the biggest games, I'd say nearly in NBA history, Game 7, the Miami Heat, the bad guys versus the good guys, San Antonio Spurs. Time to talk about it. Good friend of the show, Mike Whiting, joins us on the line. Morning, Mike.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Swampy. How are you, boys?
Oh, look, we're really good here, and especially after yesterday's Game 6. I don't think there was a basketball fan out there that wouldn't have enjoyed that. The series finally came alive, didn't it? It was one that there'd been blowouts in one to one team and the other up until Game 6. There'd been no real tussle past the fourth quarter, but didn't that deliver yesterday?
Oh, how good was it? I think I saw some post-match stuff with Magic Johnson, and he said it was one of the 2 or 3 best games he's ever seen. And I don't think you get much of a bigger rap than that from one of the greatest players that's ever played. So just phenomenal. The amount of the fluctuation in that final quarter and overtime was amazing. It looked like Miami had control, and then San Antonio took the lead back late in the fourth, and it looked like they were going to win. And then, of course, we know what happened with Ray Allen hitting a three-pointer to put it into overtime, and Miami got home.
And of course, it's what he was brought onto that team to do, and he certainly delivered when it counted the most. And of course, right at the end of a sort of a almost furious overtime period, Chris Bosh with a huge block on really the star of the last 2 games before that on Danny Green. Some conjecture that it was a foul, but a big play from Bosh nonetheless to reject that 3-point shot.
Good block. It looked like a good tackle to me.
He ended up in the second row.
There has been a bit of conjecture, and I think in most instances that would probably be called a foul. I mean, he got the ball clean, but he certainly collected his body, which you can't do with jump shooters. But there's no use whinging about refs. We know there's probably 1 or 2 decisions that each team can say went against them. But I think the main thing in that sort of late in regulation and then into overtime was just that Miami were a bit more aggressive. And as you find generally in most sports, the most aggressive team might get the rub of the green with the calls, and they were more attacking, more aggressive, both ends of the court, and they got those calls and they won, and they probably deserved it in the end. So I guess as a neutral, we've got what we wanted, haven't we? We've got a Game 7, and all comes down to one game, which is a big. It's enormous after you played a season of 100 games, isn't it? In 8 or 9 months, it's just everything on the line.
Yeah, it just comes down to this one game, and we've only seen in the last 25 years, this will only be the 5th Game 7 of a final series that we've seen. The last one, of course, was the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Boston Celtics, which was an amazing series in itself back in 2010. The Spurs do have form in a Game 7. Of course, they did win one against the Detroit Pistons going back to 2005. How do you see it unfolding, Mike?
Well, I'm probably like a lot of people. It's just hard to see San Antonio bouncing back, isn't it? They were so close to winning the championship. They were literally within 5 seconds. They were within one Ray Allen miss away from winning the whole lot. So to have it snatched away from you like that must be absolutely devastating. But not only that, I mean, they've obviously got an older roster. They're Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili. They're all, all in the latter stages of their career, particularly Ginobili and Duncan. And those guys looked very tired at the end of yesterday. And they're playing in Miami, and Miami's got the best player in the world. So you have to lean towards Miami. But I think the one thing we've seen from this series is that the previous game is quickly forgotten. You touched on earlier that we've seen those blowouts, but the next game the other team's bounced back. So while we sit here and think it's going to be hard for San Antonio to bounce back, I'm sure Popovich and his boys will be cooking up plenty of ideas, new strategies and adjustments as we speak.
See, I almost go to the other side of that camp is Miami really had to, you'd think, just pull out absolutely everything they had to get out of that last game. And part of me sees how San Antonio might be shattered from that. Part of me thinks, how does Miami then reproduce essentially that get out of jail again in a Game 7? Have they made their run that they did in Game 6 and have got nothing left to give? But I suppose and you mentioned him before, but two players that are probably going to have a pretty big effect on Game 7 like they did Game 6 is both LeBron James and Tim Duncan. LeBron with a triple-double and an enormous effort in the back end of the game. But Timmy Duncan turning back the clock at the start of that game, 25 points in the opening quarter and 30 points overall. Does Big Timmy have it in him for a Game 7?
Oh, you can't count him out. I mean, the guy's unbelievable. He's 37. I didn't think he had that in him yesterday. But I guess when it's all on the line and you've just got to pull out one more big effort, you can't discount, arguably the best power forward that's ever played the game. So I can't wait. I think his performance yesterday will, I guess from a San Antonio point of view, will hopefully open things up for their three-point shooters again in Game 7 because obviously Duncan's presence inside. Miami will have to be a bit more mindful of that in Game 7 and it might open things up outside the arc, which was so potent in the first 5 games. But yeah, I think he's got that in him, but so does LeBron, I think. LeBron said he was tired at the end of yesterday having to chase Tony Parker around on the defensive end in the fourth quarter and overtime, but what a phenomenal performance for him to really put Miami on his back and say, follow me, boys, and away they went. And wasn't it amazing that as soon as the headband came off, he basically put on his Superman cape, and that was the end of the road.
I'm going out to buy a headband and then mysteriously lose it in the fourth quarter of my day, just so I can get a bit of LeBron coming through. We're far too invested in either camp in the studio here to make a call on this game, and you are our neutral.
I'm neutral.
Oh, he's got a Spurs shirt underneath that jumper, listeners, I can tell you. Final call from the impartial man, Mike. Where do you see Game 7 falling?
Oh, it's hard to go past Miami. It's on their home court. They've got the best player in the world. I mean, if you've got to put money on it, you've got to go with Miami. But I really hope obviously I hope we see another game like Game 6. I'd love to see San Antonio win. I think Timmy Duncan, it'd be great to see him get another championship before he retires, but realistically it's hard to go past Miami. And this is the benefit of having the best record in the league, isn't it? You play all season to get the best record. This is the exact reason why. So if it comes down to a Game 7, you've got it at home, and I think that's going to be just enough to get them over the line.
Now, listeners would be forgiven to think that you were our Australian NBA correspondent, but it's not why we normally have you on the show. Of course, writer for AFL.com.au, and we wouldn't let you go. They're getting a little bit of an update on the AFL season. The Lions coming off the bye last week into a massive game against the Cats at the Gabba. Are the Lions any chance of giving Geelong a bit of a shake here?
Yeah, I think they're a small chance. I mean, obviously Geelong are one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league. They're 10-1. They're coming off a bye, but I think Geelong have shown in their first half of the season they tend to sort of patchy football. They're quite sporadic, though. They let teams score against them, but just as quickly they can pour on 8 or 9 goals in a quarter, as we've seen many times. So I think they leave the door open for opposition. So it's just a matter of whether Brisbane can take advantage and probably pressure like they have in a couple of games this year. Like, they pressured well against Fremantle last week, and if they can do that, they've got half a chance, but it'd be long odds. It'd be an upset, that's for sure.
Now, of course, the big news during the week in the AFL on the coaching department was the sacking of Mark Neal at Melbourne. An interesting view that I came across during the week that this could have some ramifications for Michael Voss, just to how the Demons do respond to Neal being taken out of that situation. Basically, the suggestion that if the Demons have a bit of a swing around here, it might not be such good news for Michael Voss in terms of he's probably the next coach that's most under pressure. Do you see the Neal decision having much of an impact of how the Lions board eventually do look at Michael Voss and his coaching position?
Oh, I don't really subscribe to that theory. I know it's a theory out there, but I genuinely think that the Lions board will wait for, at least another month before they start forming a decision, and I think they'll certainly wait until I'd be stunned if Voss didn't see out the whole season. I think he'll see out the whole season, and he will be judged on the entirety of his work. And I don't really think the Neal decision will have much of an influence, although I have seen that theory thrown up.
And, of course, the Gold Coast on a bye this weekend. But, geez, they've been ticking along really, really well, the Suns. Are they any chance of having a little bit of a sneaky run at the finals late in the season?
Yeah, they're a small chance. They've got a pretty favourable draw in the back half of the season. They're playing a lot of teams that are on the fringe of the 8, the Adelaides, the Richmonds, the type of teams that you're going to have to beat to make the 8. And a lot of winnable games at the back end. So they're a sneaky chance. I wouldn't be putting too much expectation on them. I think what they've achieved this year is already a pass mark. And, yes, they are a chance, but I wouldn't be wagering too much money on it.
Mike, we absolutely love having you on. We could fill an entire double episode worth of SportsFeva talking about the NBA for sure, but it's always great to have your thoughts, and we'll have to definitely get you back on it later in the year as the AFL season nears its conclusion. Mike Whiting, always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks, boys. Absolute pleasure.
Cheers,
Thanks, Mike. Cheers.
See you guys.
Michael Whiting, NBA Guru / AFL.com.au writer. He's our unofficial third host, isn't he?
There are few people, certainly that I know, Matty, that are as passionate and know as much about their basketball as one Mr. Whiting. He lives and breathes it, and he's certainly who I look to when I need a bit of an opinion on something on the NBA. He is an absolute guru on it, as much as he's a guru on all things AFL.
AFL and running, he's a runner as well.
He is a very, very good runner.
He doesn't know.
Coming back from a little bit of a knee injury, and he's had a strong comeback for those playing along. Very good.
He's all good. And, of course, some good news for Dolphins as well in a couple of those from the all-conquering Mel Meninga Cup team. A few have been named in the Queensland Maroons team, which is the second team. Richie Skelton got named in the Queensland team proper, and the Maroons team is kind of the second 17, so to speak, and that included Nathan Watts, Joel Main, Josh Behag, Mitchell Wilson, and Tyson Cleal, who I thought was really unlucky to miss out on that Queensland under-18s team proper. So
really interesting story there with young Richie Skelton. I think about the age of 14, did an ACL injury, went to the doctor and with his dad, and was basically told, "Son, you need to give up the game that you love." And through some wonderful efforts, fundraising through the community and through his club, got an operation and is back. Obviously doing wonderful things and earning his spot in that Queensland side. So a big boy and apparently with a wonderful offload as well. So hopefully Richie, wish Richie all the best against New South Wales next Wednesday as a lead-up game.
Yep, and for the person that phoned in just asking when that clash is, when the Dolphins head to Roma, it's August 3rd, Swampy. Out there they head to Roma, and that should be a great weekend. And like I said, Roma, really the second home of the Dolphins. I've been out to Roma a couple of times. They're very, very big Dolphin supporter out Roma's way. Of course, with the legendary Arthur Beetson coming from Roma to Redcliffe, there's been that link for a long time. So looking forward to that one on August 3rd. Put it in your calendar, people. Now, only 2 minutes to go. Swampy, what else is happening in local sport?
Local sport, I think I couldn't recommend enough that you get along and watch the under-18 Snakies this weekend, mate. That'd just about be my pick of the game. The Snakies should do well over Caloundra, but that under-18s team, they're back at home. If you haven't had the chance to get out and have a look and watch those under-18s boys, they're a really special team and the future of the Caboolture Snakes, really. So definitely recommend that you get out and have a look.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. Now, no show next Thursday. We're most probably going to be on next Wednesday. You won't be here, Swampy.
I won't, unfortunately. It's one of my favourite shows of the year, the Origin Special, so my apologies to everyone.
We're still finalising some guests, but we'll have some special guests on the show. Warwick Nicholson will definitely be one. He'll give us a preview through his blue-coloured glasses, but I don't mind getting him on and then rubbing it into him after we get the victories for him.
Yeah, very quickly, there's a little bit of a conspiracy theory overnight that, of course, Big Mal having a little bit of trouble behind the bar and being asked to leave a certain establishment that I think may have even put this forward, that he's just trying to keep Queensland's underdog status in this game. A few disruptions to the Blues camp. Mal said, I'll have none of that. We won't be going into this favourites. I'll go and cause a bit of a stir and keep us as the underdogs. So
he's a tricky man.
Wily. He's wily, Mal.
The mighty Mel Meninga. I can't wait for it, Swampy. It all happens next Wednesday night at Suncorp Stadium. It should be a huge game, and we will preview it here on a State of Origin SportsFeva special next Wednesday. And so you'll be back a fortnight from today.
Hopefully, and not hopefully, we will be. Sorry, the look of shock.
I thought, where
there.
were you going?
Sorry, I
thought
the mic was going to get turned off there very quickly. We will be talking about a 1-1 State of Origin series, and hopefully having Was on, if he's not too upset to come and talk about us, and we can have one back from last week.
No, looking forward to it. Full time's about to go on today's show. It's been a great show. Thanks for your time, Sean. Thanks to our guests, of course, Mike Whiting, Jacinta Messer from the Firebirds, and Order of Australian medal recipient and Dolphins #1 ticket holder, Rupert McCall. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next Wednesday.